Okay, so I fed her. We went outside. Even cleaned my. I hadn't cleaned my filters on my unit, whatever that thing is. And when I got up this morning, it was like making all these noises and puttering. So I turned it off, and then I opened it to take the filters out because right away I was like, "Oh, the filters got to be dirty." So I opened them to take them out, and there was ice all on the thing. So it was really struggling. It was about to give out. So when I went out and cleaned them and I put it back on, it took a while to turn on, and I thought, oh, maybe I broke it. So anyways, I got the filters cleaned and got it back on. So I will have circulation of air in my house today. And it was definitely just stagnant when I got home. And it was weird too because outside it felt humid. Like we were right by the ocean and really hot, but it was also super, super dry. So it was weird. It was like these kind of things that didn't match. And when I was driving through the desert, I got footage of this. This was so trippy. So when I left, it was 2 a.m. And so I was out like by Redding. So out in that part of the desert, if you looked at a map. And so when I was driving, it was just so dark out, so pitch black. And it took a while for it to all click in. But at some point I started thinking like, yeah, why isn't this moon out? Isn't this a full moon time or something? Shouldn't there be a big ass moon? And I was like, this is weird. Because normally, you have some light from the moon. And so then I started thinking, well, I keep seeing people say, like, go outside, something's up with the moon. Sometimes it's not there and stuff like that. So I started looking for it. And I was looking everywhere. And then when I was looking for the moon, I started noticing, like, out in the middle of nowhere, like I've been out in the middle of nowhere before. When I was younger, I went out. I remember this farm. I don't know whose farm it was. I don't know how I ended up there. I remember it seemed like some sort of druggy, trippy kind of memory because I remember going through this house and there being something weird with a mirror or something. In this, it was weird. Like there is places that are not in the grid and they're portal systems around us all the time, I believe. So anyways, I just remember at this house being outside and it seems like there was another person there with me. We were laying out like in the grass, just looking up at the stars because the sky was so black and the stars were so bright. You could see millions of them and it was so deep. And I was like, I was just amazed at how beautiful and how well you could see it. And that always, when I would talk about that, I was like, well, if you're away from the city lights, you see the stars way better. So while I'm driving and I'm thinking, well, I'm away from the city lights, there's no towns anywhere around here. So you should be able to see the stars just bright as can be out here. It's totally black. And there was hardly any. I saw one bright star. And I wasn't really seeing any other ones. It was just black everywhere. So I started looking for a place to pull over. I was like, I got to get footage of this. This is mental. And so I found a rest stop and I pulled over real quick and I went out and I did footage. You can see it's just black. There's no moon. And then I showed, that I was next to the road, next to the highway to show like, this is truly the sky because it was just black. There's nothing. And I was going all the way around, did a 360 going around to show every perspective that I had of the sky, no moon. So, this is a Truman Show for sure. Everything about this is a Truman Show. It's a controlled, but the whole thing is it for a soul, it is a movie. It's a virtual reality game that you come into to learn and experience from. So you come in like it's a movie to play a part. So you go in for the experience. And then it's also real. And, it had me thinking a lot, with this being told about my brother. After I'd already been talking about, like, some souls know, like, what they're here for. When my one brother told me what the other brother said, I was like, he already knows, he knows. And so it made me start thinking a lot about the whole thing, like his purpose and, you know, his learning and what he's here to learn. And we can't understand every soul. It's impossible. But I was like, I'm going to share some of the perspectives so it helps other people gain more perspective or something when they're looking at it. Because he's, I mean, I know a lot of us are going to have family members that are going to be transitioning. And I'm not even sure if he is at this point. At this point, all I know is that he has put it out there that he expects to only be around for a few more months. So, you know, in each soul, you will make something happen. Just like 5 years ago when he told me, I wish I get a brain injury. And here he is sitting with one now. Like, the universe is always listening. You gotta be real careful what you're ordering. And I keep trying to get people to understand that. But, you know, it doesn't make any sense until you understand it. Once you understand it, it all starts making sense. But, you know, then the awakening, this is developing an understanding. You know, so it's levels, it's steps, it's each step on a path towards enlightenment. So it isn't all, you know, it's not like all knowing all at once. It's an opening and a development, an unfolding of understanding. So anyways, he, you know, to me, it seemed like, well, he could be, you know, just, there's a whole bunch of them that have come in and they're going to exit quickly, transition out quickly. It's not going to be a long drawn out thing. Like, it's not by accident that these are quick moving cancers and stuff and that people are just like boom, 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 boom. It's all part of the thing. You know, we can't go through all of this treachery of dealing with people who are going through years of treatment like how it used to be when cancer was a part of our life. Like, this part is different. Everything that is happening right now is different than how it used to be. And everything is speeding up. And everything is moving quickly. Like, everything is ending here. And it's happening all simultaneously, so perfectly intertwined together to create this change of where we're headed. And it doesn't mean like that these people won't be coming to this place that we're headed, because remember, it's just transitioning from reality to reality to reality. It's all your consciousness is doing all the time. Even while it's present in this reality that you are birthed into, you leave and you go to different realities because your consciousness has those abilities. It just can go and experience wherever, whenever, however it wants to experience. And it's always learning. It's always moving. It is so much like that bubble, like this morphing of color and energy all the time, trying to experience itself and understand itself. And it's all, we are the cells of the solar system. We are the cells, just like our body is made up of cells. And that is why we have to treat every cell, even though, like, to us, the as cells, we seem very, you know, we think there's a whole world and we're alive and we're big and all that stuff. Well, every cell that makes up every single thing feels the same way. It's all micro, macro. It's all real. It's all alive. And so it all depends on what you give value to, what you give perspective to, what you give your focus to is what is real to you. And so when this, each cell is having its own experience because it gives the whole system a development of understanding. And so, you know, every cell is going through all these different experiences. So for, like, if you think of his, like, why would he come in and exit out like this? And, like, there's a lot of questions that come in, like, when you know personal things about people and stuff, you know, you start questioning all this stuff. And, you know, and I'm positive probably every person in his family is, you know, I feel pretty certain of that. And I started feeling like, you know, I don't see how people can't be seeing some of the information. Even when my daughter was here and I was watching TikToks for a minute, like every time I download something, you know, I have to watch whatever's on there because it won't download unless you are. And so I was, this one popped up and it said, all the people that are, and my daughter didn't see it or anything, and she said, oh, all the people that are, like, she has seen it so many times on social media. She has to be seeing it. Everyone has to be seeing it. For her to know it just by those words, that she knew exactly what the person was saying. So I was like, okay, they've got to be seen. They're just in denial. They're just thinking like, these paranoid people. These people are so crazy and paranoid. They just believe whatever they're told. Because there's two different scripts going, right? There's the script of realizing what this place is and coming into this reality of, it's very different than the reality that they're all living. Theirs is very different. And so for my brother with his, I was like, is it that he wants to just pass and not know? Like, how many of them are not knowing what is actually killing them? Like, the witnesses, the ones, us watching, the ones that are being so profoundly affected, we all know. But do they need to know? Because they're going to know once they go to the review. They're going to see everything, but they see it from a different perspective because you see it from a perspective of observation. So you can go in and just observe yourself. You don't feel all the emotions that we feel while you're in your body. So he could be feeling like, he doesn't want to face all that. Like, if you remember all the way back where I was talking, which I was kind of curious because I was thinking, because I'm always saying like back when I was saying this, back when I was saying that, and I started thinking, I wonder how many people are even have watched me since the beginning. Probably not very many have watched since the beginning. I mean, I think probably some have come, watched some, and then they left, and so it really made me start thinking like, I wonder how many people, how long they have been watching, what things I was talking about that caught their interest, what perspective that I share that, has them more involved. So it was interesting. Anybody who wants to comment and tell me any of that stuff in the comments, I would love to know, because it gives me more perspective to understand like how long someone's been watching and what it was that caught them into wanting to hear what I said, and how it's helped and stuff. Like, all of that stuff is interesting for me for like feedback, so that I, helps me understand like what I should be talking about, what people are wanting to hear about, and stuff like that. So anyways, for me with him, I started thinking, because we had all the way back in 2020, when I had very first tried approaching people with the Judy, with the words you can't say, her last name, but starts with a Mike. And so when I started sending out her stuff to people, and, it was all getting taken down, and then they were like telling me like, oh, well, she's crazy and stuff like that. And in that conversation, when my brother said, oh, don't tell me you're one of those nuts who thinks Gator Boy and Fralgy, only he said the real names, are a problem. And I was like, yes, they are a problem. They are criminal. They are going to jail. They will, yes, there's serious shit going on. This is crimes against humanity. And he said, that my brain injury was showing. And then I said, I used to think you were so smart, which that was the end of it, because he thought I was telling him he was stupid or something, apparently. Because when there was quoted back to me, I had told him, like, you're a stupid motherfucker or some wacky thing like that. So, but, it's all perspective. It's all how we perceive. And people just don't even know the gravity of really what that means until you see it. Once you see it, it is profound of how much of our life is based on our perspective and what we project out and what we expect back. We're looking for our own messages of how we see ourselves. So anyways, now, I was thinking he's got to be seeing, because he was always on social media. He was big on Facebook. And no matter how much they want to censor, there's got to be stuff going through. I mean, if my daughter heard that and she knew what that girl was talking about. So they've got to be hearing this stuff. There's got to be talk amongst the ones who are you know, just those people are all crazy. I feel fine. I feel fine too. Yeah. What are they talking about? They don't realize, like, we're all sitting here watching, like, oh, this one's got cancer. Oh, that one's got this. Oh, that one's got this. Oh, and the numbers are adding up. Oh yeah. And my hypothesis on my experiment is about the towers and the chemicals and stuff like that. Like, I wish more people could start paying attention to what happens when they're around them. But I feel certain that they're doing something, and I feel certain that there's somebody messing with it, going up and down, and they're doing stuff. And I felt like when at 2:30 in the afternoon, when the traffic was this horrendous, going every direction, it was stop traffic. And I was like, this is being messed with. I mean, traffic is so ludicrous. It's so ridiculous. This is totally being manufactured. It is just to cause frustration. It's just to keep you anxious. It's just to keep you like dialing up. Oh, I saw a commercial for a drug called Heleva, and I'd love to know, what is it about? Everyone looks happy in the commercial. That's all they want. That's all they fucking want all the time. They want you to own nothing and be happy, but they want you to find your artificial happiness in a little pill, the blue pill. They don't want you taking a red pill. Keep away from the red pills, just the blue pills. Keep you dormant in their virtual world where there is no human contact. Your whole world is a screen. And then they wonder, why are these people, or the people who are doing it, wonder why they feel disconnected, depressed, and anxious and stuff like that. It's because you're not living your truth. You're not focused on what is real. You're focused in an artificial world, on a manufactured reality. And it's all based on consumerism and basically loss, because it has got the whole thing with death. Death is always looming over us. What's going to bring it in, But it has so much to do with teaching us about being present in the moment. And I thought so much about this, just like with my brother, thinking about like, our life as kids and stuff like that. Because no matter what, when someone's going to leave, you never feel like you had enough time. You never feel like you had a sufficient amount of time. I should have spent more time with them. I should have spent more time with them. And that is such a learning thing in this reality about being present in the here and now. Because if you're not present in the here and now, you're thinking about, like being at the farm. I could have just sat and been consumed over, problems that me and this person had, years and years ago when we were trying to raise a family together. I could have just stayed focused on that and my ego and what it was bringing up when I was being triggered and stuff like that. I could have gone completely into what I consider to be the past. And I stayed present in the moment, and I was having a great time just breathing the fresh air with all the stuff growing. And it really felt like it was a portal bubble of just fresh air and good food and just a pleasant kind of atmosphere. It was just a pleasant atmosphere that felt, and I could have been missing out on all that if I would have stayed focused on, other things. So to me, it is important about staying present in the here and now and focusing on what is happening currently. And it is a challenge to do all the time, to pull your mind back into that present moment. Because the present moment is, if you're not focused on it, that is what you learn to regret. You should have spent more time, like even all the time you spend with somebody, how much time is spent really focused on them and the what is that called? The interaction, the companionship. And, I feel really fortunate, whatever, I think it was like 4 years ago, when I went to Texas and made that movie with my brother. That, that was really fun. And I feel sad because, that's all he wanted to do since he was young, is just make movies. And that's all he wanted to do. And, to think of him now to leave, when things to me are about to get good, but there's a lot of souls like maybe that don't want to face all of the work that is coming with what the challenges that they're going to have to face. There's going to be a lot that are going to transition out because it is going to be a very heavy load to heal, very heavy. Like I thought it was going to be a heavy load to heal a year and a half ago if they would have woke up then. Now it is like, fuck, dude. Like, fuck. There's a lot of fucking shit these people are going to have to be unpacking. A lot of people have a lot to unpack. And so, you know, and to me, it could have been, you know, he's passing as a part of the awakening for his family to get them to realize maybe it is going to, you know, there's going to be huge lawsuits over some of these injured people and money that's going to go to their families. It could, I mean, there's so variable why a person would be passing. And I don't even know, you know, he could have just said that and it's going to be this miraculous healing. But he definitely doesn't want anything to do with anything holistic or anything about healing in that kind of manner or taking even responsibility, because my mom was sending him a cancer cookbook. And, you know, they're basically like, well, I'm just going to eat what I want, you know, especially if you're looking at it as well. This is my last few months. I want to eat ice cream every fucking night. I'm going to eat whatever the hell I want. If I want to eat candy bars all the time, I'm going to eat, you know, so he's kind of in that kind of mindset. Like, I'm going to do what I want. And does it have to do with his brain injury and the impulsive part? Like, you know, but he doesn't want to go into any other kind of healing. He wants to just be like, okay, you know, I did the stuff they said. This is what the doctors told me to do. I'm not going to, you know, go further into this. So that's very much something there to learn. I'm not sure yet because a lot of lessons you don't know until they've completed. So you have to a lot of times go through it and have it happen. But I still won't know every single soul contract that he had with each person to what he would be passing to help them all to learn and what lessons he's learning. Like, he could already have done a lot of ego work, you know, and that he's already ascended and he's just here trying to help other people ascend. Like, there's no way you can know a soul's thing, because you've got to remember, in this world, in this life, they're just playing a role. We're just playing parts in a movie. And this isn't who we are. The more that we can show ourselves, the more we can show our our true nature, our soul, what's inside of us, the more that we can connect on what's inside of us and allow what's inside to shine to the outside. But see, in the three-dimensional world, people are focused very much on the outside and don't see the inside. And that is what we have to flip. This is part of the whole flipping of nature, this whole flipping of everything that is going to happen. And when I was feeling all that vibration and stuff last night, I was like, man, something big is coming. And then this morning when I had a couple of, like the sky one, I wanted to download. And so while I was waiting for it to download, I saw a couple videos talking. And one of the guys, I see him talking all the time, and he has an uncle in New York. And he said he was talking to him, and they keep doing a report on the TV, telling the people to get a bag together, something bad's, you know, be prepared. There's nuclear threat and stuff like that in New York. I mean, I'm in Washington State. We're not getting any of that. But remember, we're all singular. You know, if you go to a lab, there's petri dishes, and they could be over here in this part, and then you have all the petri dishes over here in the window, and then you have all the petri like, you have all these different experiments, these different hypotheses, these different examples, different ideas to see, so that you can try and form a fact. But there is no facts in science. It's all conjecture. And so when they all of these different experiments are all happening, you know, for a purpose to the people who are in control. But so in New York, you know, they're having, you know, a definite threat is being made on them daily. Is it just to make them super anxious? I mean, they got the mayor coming on telling them, please go drink the tap water. Please, please. The tap water is so good. Drink it. Oh, it's yummy, yummy. It's like, what in the hell? Like, oh my God. It's like fucking Jim Jones shit here. So anyways, these people, he told his uncle, he said, please just leave there and come here. And he's in Alabama. He said, just come here. But he's from Venezuela. So he also gives a lot of perspective about what's going on because it already happened in Venezuela, which a ton of Venezuelans are on. I've seen them. I think I saw them on Twitter even. But I've definitely seen them on TikTok talking about what happened there and it's happening here. And you guys better wake the fuck up or you're in big serious trouble. But so he told his uncle, please come here. And his uncle said, hey, I'm 70 years old. I've lived my life. If this is how I'm going out, I'm not leaving my home. I'm not running from this. And see, that is what I was talking about. A soul telling you like, hey, I'm here for this. No, I'm here for this part. You know, whatever's going to go down, this is what I'm here for. And our souls know when we tune in and when we listen. And some of them are to transition in a very dramatic fashion because it's all about the awakening. And it's all, if you take us all, not as individuals, but as energy, and all the energy that is here and all of the transformation energy that is moving us into transformation. So they all play a significant role in impacting the growth that is going to happen. So all of this stuff that we are being impacted with, that we take in to create the change in this world. So it all works together. It has nothing to do with the individual. If you go just as a solar system energy of change and how we all work together, we're the threads of one blanket. So everything works together. So him and all of these people who are going to be transitioning, all these things, that is this movement. That is this thing that is changing so that we create this other world. So they all play a very significant role. Every single person that is transitioning out is playing a major role in what is to come. It's not just the people creating the new world. They're giving us perspective. They're showing us. They're pushing us in a direction. So it all works together. So, you know, we have to give mad respect to the people who are transitioning out because it is waking so many people. Even if it's not, you know, even if it's one of your family members, you know, and however it's going down, you got to remember they have an orbit. They have people who are all around them, all their soul contracts that are being affected. So it's all so huge. And it is so hard to understand. So I could sit here, you know, go over and over and over it, trying to understand what's going on with my brother, but there's no fucking way I could because I'm in the experience. I'm not getting the full view. So, you know, if I was up there with my higher self, which I could tune into that and I could really focus on that and, you know, speak to his higher self and understand and get peace or understanding or information or whatever. Like you can go into that and have a better understanding, but your full understanding, of course, is like when you're over there with them, you know, like it is just different. We have a limited perspective on what's happening. But if I was already, you know, transitioned and I'm sitting there waiting for him, like I was thinking, like if he does, you know, if he does leave us before Christmas, and you know, I know my grandpas and grandma are around, you know, they're always around me, giving me direction. You know, you have a support system, even if you don't realize it, you have a support system who's around you, who has also a lot riding on what's going on, because this has to do with the energy of our lineage, of our ancestry. Every single thing that has happened in the past has an effect on everything after it's happened. I saw a card reader the other day I was watching, and it was something about karma and stuff like that, but it was so trippy because she was talking about like that I'm here to clean up these major things that other people in my ancestry had done. So I'm here to change the energy to go the other direction. And it was making so much sense, everything she was saying. It was like it was so much confirmation what I was being told, but it really kept bouncing my brain right into just the one well, the two different people that I had read about in my lineage when my brother was doing the ancestry and sent me the names, like there's so much stuff I'm going to miss about my brother. It's like, there's like never enough time. And you just have no control over this stuff, you know? And we just have to understand that this is all happening for a reason. Like there's a purpose behind everything that happens. And, you know, it's a lot to start absorbing because we've been taught and trained to, this is all an accident, you know, and God makes serious mistakes and he, you know, he doesn't have control over everything here. Well, he doesn't have control. It's all of us because he is God. He branched out and we're the branches. So we have to take responsibility for what we want and how we want it to be. And we have to learn about that. But anyways, there just is never enough time with somebody. You know what I mean? Like every moment that we have, it's almost like a lost moment when we aren't having a present experience. It's like you've lost that moment. That's why it's really important to not be caught up too much. I think a lot of times for me, I get too caught up in the future. Like I've let go of the past, but I focus a lot on the future and seeing what I want. I think it's important right now to keep in mind of what it is that we want for our future because of the manipulation that is going on. But you know, I still need to be present in the moment. And I feel like, you know, with Stella's like psychic attachment to me or something, that she knows, like she can tell, she can tell, like when I'm having certain thoughts and I'll get a reaction from her, I'll know, like she knows, like she's picking up on it. And there's certain things and certain people that I can think about and she has a reaction right away. It's very strange. But, you know, we're so much more connected than we have any understanding of because we've just been taught and trained to focus on what's different about us, what we're not connected, like to get us to not notice how connected we truly are because we're really, truly connected. And, but anyways, with my brother, it could be so many different things going on. And even if he were to leave, you know, and by all appearances not know what had killed him, by the time he passes over and has his review, he's going to see clearly everything. You know, that's the learning part. That's the part where you get to observe yourself and understand and see things more clearly. But remember, it's just a movie. So you don't get too caught up in it. It's like, oh, that's what I did. Okay, I know I can do better. So I'm going in again. Who's with me? You know, and that's how it all starts. You know, you're always ready as a soul to go in and challenge yourself. And, you know, here in the experience, the challenges feel so hard and so draining. And we can't imagine that we would want to come in to do this to ourselves. But when you are a soul and you understand what this is, you're all for it, you know. It just is a huge challenge to remember all of this stuff while you're in the experience and to relate to it, you know, because you're told you're crazy if you relate to it. Like the stuff that I'm having more now is even more like where somebody would say I'm completely mentally ill. Like I can't even believe how many times, like last week when I said that I keep looking over at numbers and they'll switch. They keep switching. All these things keep switching while I'm looking at them. Like I'll look over and the number stuff is so crazy lately. And things touching me. And since I got home and I went in the bathroom, you know, and I don't know, it's always while I'm standing at the mirror in front of the sink that I just see like all of these beings like around me, like hovering around me or something. Another thing I have totally noticed is that my shins are just being totally damaged, that not seen. And the one, I had a huge bruise that went up almost the whole top of it, and it spread out like about, I don't know, 5 inches across the top and probably about 7 or 8 inches going up. And it was a huge bruise and it hurt so, so bad. And when I went into the med beds, I had put that intention that it would heal. It's not there anymore and it doesn't hurt. But the other one, I obviously slammed into it since, and I've got a big cut going down it. It's just, I think it's when you have no peripheral and you don't realize it. The trippy thing is with the glaucoma, you don't realize that your world is closing in. And so you don't see this. It just doesn't exist. And it's very hard to explain unless you've experienced it. But so I could be walking and I just have no awareness of my legs, apparently, and they can slam into things that I don't see. So, definitely, I definitely feel like the med bed, the military grade med beds are going to definitely be my jam. I've got my house so set up with this grid of these crystals and all of that stuff to try and really promote high frequency in this house. I did Stella this little necklace I got her this big old collar and put her one on there and got them in her bed. Like, I've got them all over to really try and raise the frequency. But like my ex brother-in-law, the scientist, he's a chemist. He was a chemist for the oil industry. So I would imagine he had a lot of lies that he was told. Petroleum, like that whole thing. And he worked for Chevron for a long time, and he was going around the globe speaking. He wasn't just going around America. He was going all over the place. So he, and I think there was a point where that's all he did was go and speak to people about, I don't know, it was his findings and stuff. Like, I don't know all of the different stuff that he did, but anyways, he was a scientist. And his wife, like I said, she worked in a lab with the guy who the Unabomber blew his hand off, and they were working on the DNA and stuff like that. So they do research. Even my ex was talking about at the farm, he just wants to grow. Well, she's turned it into a business. She's done research. She'll come out and start telling him, well, you got to do this, this, and this. And he goes, no, I'm not doing it because the book says. I'm going to do what I know. I'm not going to do something my book says. But see, it's very much about the book, going by the book. And this has to do with staying asleep. This is something I had so many thoughts about with my ex, and how he could still be asleep on this one part. And he had dropped out of high school, and then he went and took some classes at junior college and dropped out of that. But he was always been like a big avid reader. Like, he's really and he's knowledgeable and stuff like that. Like, you don't have to go and have a diploma to prove you're smart, but that is very much a challenge to people who don't have it. They'll oftentimes feel like they've failed themselves. They're not smart enough. They couldn't complete it. They couldn't finish it or whatever, when it has to do with so much more, like, I only got mine by the hair of my teeth. That's for sure. I never fit into the academic world of the indoctrination training facilities. I never fit into those. Luckily, I had the ability to leave the room and leave my body in the room, and I could just leave and go someplace else. And that's what I did most of the time. But my grades showed it. So, and that was a big thing to my ego. Like, when I went to medical assisting school and nursing school, it wasn't, straight A's, but I definitely, when nursing school started, you start with 55 people in the class or something, and less than half will graduate. And I was in that less than half that graduated. And even when I took the test for the boards, only a certain percentage will get the least amount of questions. The questions are all based on your ability to answer them right. And so if you answer them right, you get less questions. I got the minimum questions, and I had 4 kids and was getting a divorce in the middle of all this stuff. So, I was able to go and do all of that with attention deficit or whatever, neurodivergent or whatever, all of the stuff that makes me a different kind of learner than, what they try and create. And oh my gosh, something's in my eye. And so anyways, but when I went to the medical assisting school, I was straight A's, and that really, it was very profound to me, because I had always thought I was really stupid because I made such bad grades in school. So I thought, oh my gosh, I must just be stupid. And then when I went there, it was like, oh my gosh, I make all A's. I'm really smart. And I hadn't seen it. But so to me, it kind of like, he lives with these science, you know, I mean, with a lot of diplomas and shit like that. And his family is very academically, you know, more academic, and he's more of a farmer person. He's more of a, I just want to go out and grow. I'm happy with a simple life. I don't need much. Just give me some land and let me have a couple tools and I'll be good. You know, he's more like that. And but he's in a family that's very, you know, where you kind of would think of more hoity-toity, you know, like, oh, let's have a glass of wine and some cheese and talk about things, you know, like they're very, like, they have a certain perspective on life. And so, but it is very guarded and guided, you know, because it is based on books. And the books are there to misinform. So, I don't know, it was kind of tripping me out, because like the ego wants to fit in. And so then you don't want to question things, because that would make you into a crazy person. So you've got to just fit in, and the academics around you believe this way, so you need to believe that way. And in that way, science is God. You don't have a soul. God, there's no God. What are you, silly? And so they have, you know, souls and energy. What's weird is like, because they are scientists, so they should understand energy. But anyways, the best thing was, so when I gave them the things, I sent them links to do research. And so I was thinking, oh, these are researchers. They should be all into it. And so I sent them the stuff, and I hope they research it. And especially for him, because when I was telling him, he did seem interested, because, you know, I mean, he's having a lot of issues, and he had just fallen. He was at Stanford there for something, and fell down the concrete stairs, split his head open and broke his wrist, and is very shaky. His other brother, he's having to use a cane. He's had multiple back surgeries. I gave him one, sent him all the research. So I sent them all the stuff. But the one, the scientist one, which I'm really hoping he goes in, he researches and understands. Because when I started explaining, this is Tesla, we're moving out of the Edison time, and we're moving into Tesla time. We're moving into quantum. And so I was hoping that there was some stuff that I explained that kind of intrigued him, and he got more, you know, interested in researching, because he definitely is somebody who could afford to set one up in his house. And I would think he probably would, if he starts seeing it and understanding it and really researching it. It would not surprise me at all if he bought a unit and set it up in his house so that he could go into it all the time. I did his bed. I put charms in his bed and told him to wear the necklace all the time. And I explained how the energy moves through these, like it's like a toroidal field, but then they also connect with the other ones. But it's hard to imagine, you know, crystals and rocks and stuff having energy. That's what is so crazy of when you're talking to scientists. And so I'm hoping that this kind of opens them up to the energy, which can even segue into the understanding about what a soul is, you know, because they don't even think a soul exists. It's like, well, we're all different, and there's a reason for that. There's something more to us. So anyways, I feel good about that. So I felt like I had an opportunity to really open up some different things. But I could definitely see how much the holding somebody back is so much about ego and fitting in. And so, you know, this is very curious how all this stuff is going to work out. And like I said in the other one, there is some big stuff that people are going to have to face. Like, I thought it was big a year and a half ago. Now it is just like so much bigger. and there's so much to face. And I seriously don't know if there's just going to be a giant, impactful moment that's going to happen. I mean, something big is happening. Something big is coming, for sure. When I came home in the ground, oh, my phone's going to die. So I'll probably come back and do another one, but I better plug my phone in because there was some more stuff I wanted to talk about. I'm telling you, there was a lot of stuff that was going in my mind. Hopefully I'm not just repeating stuff. Hopefully I'm saying things that make sense. But anyways, I'll be back. I'll let my phone charge and I'll come back and I'll do another one. So I'll talk to you in a while.